This metallic dry brush acrylic painting technique will elevate any clay piece you've created. If you love learning about art, hit that subscribe button and support this public school teacher's side hustle. To make our metallic paint pop, we're going to start with a base coat of solid acrylic. I'm using old brushes because it is rough on clay and we don't want to mess up any nice new paintbrush. So I'm just using a utility brush and I'm using Glacrylic acrylic paint. You can use craft paint. You could even spray paint it black as long as you have a base coat of acrylic first. So you are going to, if you need to dip your brush in water to get into your cracks and crevices, you can do that. Just make sure that it dries opaque. You only need one coat, but you do want to go back before or after it dries to make sure that you did cover it up all the way. The metallic paint is very thin. It doesn't cover things. It's a little bit more translucent. So having a nice black base coat is going to help elevate your surface. You could do this in any other color. You could do red, you could do white, but I find that black really elevates the paint and it's just a really good kind of one size fits all color. I'm going to speed things up here because, you don't need to watch me spend the entire time painting an object solid black. And I am using a kiln-fired clay that has been in the kiln. So this is called bisqueware. And you can also do this on air dry clay as long as it's 100% dry. You can do this on wood. You can do this on any other surface. You can do this on a canvas as well. And this is one of my favorite techniques to make a three-dimensional work of art really show off all of the textures and all of the areas of dimension that you've created. It's also great because anyone can do it. My fifth graders I used to teach made really successful pieces. My AP and IB art students, it's something I've used in my own professional artwork. It just makes your clay look awesome. In fact, I love this technique so much, I've made several other videos demonstrating how to apply this technique on other sculpture materials like paper mache figures, clay relief tiles. But I wanted to make this one because my students will be using this in the classroom, and I find it's best if they see exactly what they're doing on exactly what they're doing. So they make clay portraits, and some of them will have the option, instead of painting them more realistically, to use this metallic dry brush technique. Make sure you look at your clay from all angles, up the nose, on the edges, and you don't have to paint the other side unless you just want to. But I'm just going to paint the edges, but not the inside because I don't want to waste money or paint. But you certainly could paint the inside if, money's not an object and you have the time. And I'm just going to kind of go around the edges. So when I display this, if I hang it to a flat board or hang it flush against a wall, that way it has paint all the way around the edges. I'm going to do some touch-ups to make sure that there's no hidden little white areas where the clay pokes through. And then I'm going to let it dry completely. Overnight, at least a couple hours. If any paint comes off of on your hand or it feels gummy, it is not ready to paint. I'm using these chroma metals and I love this paint. And I'm going to use more old brushes. You can see they've seen better days, but brushes that are smaller. And then any palette or surface, I'm going to start with a base coat of bronze. So with a dry brush, you use very little paint, as you can see, and also the brush needs to be dry. So you will not need a cup of water at all. I like to use just a little bit at first. You can apply and do layer after layer, but if you put too much at first, it kind of overtakes it. And the black paint has an important relationship with the metallic. It's going to create those nice shadow effects, and it's going to really pop your textures. So whatever base color you want, just use your brush and just fill the whole thing. And then you can go back and do a second coat of the same color or an accent color to create emphasis or to create those highlight areas. The hair has lots of texture. I'm going to speed it up here and make sure to get all the edges and the hair as well. I'm going to do another dusting over it just to lighten up a little bit, the eyebrows, the nose. I don't want to overdo the eyes, but I definitely want the eyes to, have their moment and have their voice. And then I think I'll go back in with at least one accent color. The beauty of this paint, you could stop right now and have a really cool looking sculpture, or you could do as many colors as you would like. If you mess up, paint it black and start again, and just don't forget to look at it from all angles. I really like this lighter gold color, and I'm going to be using this just for some accents, so wherever I think light would be hitting it. What's great about this set of paint too is that all the colors work really well together, so if you're not a skilled painter or if you're not someone who has a lot of painting experience, the colors all go together. There's really no way to make it look bad because they're all in the same metallic family. So I'm using this lighter gold to add those highlights, give a little more emphasis on the bridge of the nose, the eyes, the edges of the ear, the mouth, and it really stands out, but also fits in and is very harmonious and creates unity because it's in that same metallic color family. I'm going to speed the video up to double time here since I'm repeating the same steps and the concept's pretty simple. So with just like any other YouTube art tutorial, feel free to adjust the playback speed or pause it if you need to for certain parts of this tutorial. Again, pick it up and look at it from all angles to make sure you get a nice equal sheen on the whole thing. Add a third color because the more the merrier. I'm going to take a little bit of silver and pop that in the eyes to give it just a little bit of emphasis and a focal point. It's still, again, very harmonious. It's just the littlest bit, and I'm going to add a little bit in the highlights of the hair. I think I'll avoid putting it in the other facial features. So here it is. Super simple, super quick. A really great way to elevate your clay and make it look more expensive, and it doesn't have to go in the kiln, which is awesome. Thank you so much for sticking around and making art with me. And if you're interested in more tutorials, check these out. Find out what my students are doing in my classroom on my Instagram at thatartteacher_Machado. And my website, thatartteacher.com, has full-length lesson plans and student examples.